Welcome back, everybody, to part two of our drivers' press conference here in Baku. And as you can see, we're joined by Fernando Alonso, Pierre Gasly, and Daniel Ricciardo. Now, Fernando, can we start with you? Because the news this week has been a lot about Aston Martin and the arrival next year of Adrian Newey. You've had a few days to look at all the press cuttings. Just what is your view of what's happening at Aston Martin at the minute? How crucial is Adrian Newey to the team?
Well, it has been a positive week for sure for the team with the announcement, and yeah, he's a great addition to the team. And probably, for me, what I think is that the Aston Martin team is the team of the future in a way. We are just opening new buildings at the factory, the campus. Now building 2 is finished. Wind tunnel will be January. Honda, Aramco, best partner in the world probably, and now Adrian as well. So yeah, I think the team is taking shape, and Lawrence's vision is taking shape. So yeah, good news this week.
Almost every team on the grid wanted Adrian. How involved did you get in luring him to Aston Martin?
What a question for him. I text him for sure, and like everybody did probably, that I wanted to work with him, and yeah, I saw him also at the Monaco historic Grand Prix that he was racing that week as well, and we spent half an hour chatting as well. And I don't know, I mean, we all tried to persuade him, and I think ultimately, I think Lawrence, and as I said, his vision, the new factory, and what Aston Martin wants for the future, together with Honda as well, were probably key factors, listening to what Adrian said yesterday.
Now, he starts in March next year, and the focus is 2026. Do you think he can have an influence on 25 as well?
I don't think so. I would like to say yes, but honestly, I don't think so. March 25, I think the focus for most of the teams will be 26 project and change of regulations. If you start in March until you know everybody, and you take place in the factories April or May, and I don't think that is really worth spending too much in the 25 campaign unless you are fighting for the championship, which I hope we have a nice surprise, but I doubt it. So I think the 26 project should be the first car that he has an influence.
Look, final one from me, Fernando. Let's just bring it on to this weekend. Baku was a good race for the team last year. What are your hopes coming into this one?
Let's see. I think every race, it seems a little bit different. And at the midfield, everything is so tight that 1 or 2 tenths can make a huge difference. And hopefully Baku is one of those positive weekends for us. Last year it was a sprint event, so we only had FP1, and it was a little bit difficult for everybody. Hopefully now with free practices we can fine-tune the car, and let's see.
All right, best of luck to you. Thank you for now. Daniel, can we come to you next? Both you and Pierre have worked with Adrian Newey. If we could just start on that topic. What does he bring to a team? What advice can you give Fernando? What can Fernando expect?
I don't think I could give much advice to the most experienced guy on the grid. But look, obviously I enjoyed, I've spoken it before, I enjoyed a lot of my time with him, and it was just even like a privilege to, when I joined Rebel Racing in 2014, just to drive one of his cars, work alongside him. And it's not obviously his level of expertise in his field, and I will normally just feed back things. It's not that I can stand toe-to-toe with him and speak his language, if you know what I mean. But it was just to try and obviously collaborate in those years and give what I could, and then let him obviously work his magic. That was just a cool, very, very cool experience, walking past the office, seeing the drawings and everything. It's not for show. He's there with pen on paper, and I'd say very unique but very special way of working. And from that it was just obviously a pleasure and a privilege, and obviously I don't need to give Fernando any advice, but I'm sure it'll be an enjoyable experience.
All right, thank you. And what about this weekend? You've got the new floor on the car. What are you expecting?
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. It's looking forward to driving here again. You know, I didn't do this one last year, so it's another circuit that I'm just keen for. It's a race as well that can throw anything up in the mix. So it's, you know, one where I think, especially us, you know, maybe in that midfield battle, it's one where we can hold on to maybe some optimism that you can get maybe a bit of a special result on a circuit like this, and as the race plays out as it normally does. So yeah, look, first and foremost, the updates, try and get those going tomorrow, get into the circuit, kind of feel it again, and hopefully we're in a good spot then by Sunday afternoon.
All right, best of luck to you as well. Pierre, can I start on Adrian as well? Is it true that he speaks a driver's language?
Yeah, it is true. I mean, it was very special. 6 months working with him. You know, very similar comments to Daniel. Obviously, he got the chance to work for much longer time, but he's one of the most successful car designer in our sport, and he's got a very unique way of approaching racing, approaching design. Because similar to Daniel, I walk in the factory and see him in front of his board drawing all sort of stuff which I could not even tell what was really going on there, but ultimately it just seems to work when it gets to the track. And very humble person, which I liked on a personal level. I always had great talks with him, and always accessible, which was very enjoyable for the time we had working together.
All right, thank you. And what about Alpine then? It's been a frustrating couple of races for you since the summer break. What are you expecting here? Can it be better?
You're being tough. You're being tough because Zandvoort was actually really good for us. We were top of the midfield. Last race was it was definitely more disappointing and more difficult in Monza, which we knew historically doesn't really suit our package. And objectively, Baku is another one where last year was also very tough. So we're coming with a humble approach. We have the similar car than we had in Monza, and we know on paper doesn't look like an easy weekend, but you know, as Daniel said, it's one of these races where everything can happen, can be thrown in a good spot at any moment, and hopefully we'll be able to capitalize any opportunities that opens up here.
All right, best of luck to you. Sorry for being harsh. Right, let's open this to the floor. Broadcasters first.
Harry Benjamin, Sky Sports F1. Question to Fernando, please. Fernando, I just wanted to get your opinion on the McLaren team orders saga that's currently going on at the moment. You yourself know very well team orders being enforced and not being enforced can be quite detrimental, losing out on titles. You also know Andrea Stella very well. Do you think McLaren should have introduced team orders and the backing of one driver over another sooner than they have apparently done so ahead of this weekend?
No idea. Yeah.
Not going to be drawn on that. All right. Any more questions from broadcasters? Yes. Yes? No? Yes?
Sorry. Margot Lafitte, Canal+. To Fernando and Daniel, and Pierre is because we already have the answer in French. Talking about vision and visibility in an F1 car, we're doing a footage on that. Can you talk us through what you can see, what maybe can disturb you in a Formula One, and the importance you give to your visual comfort in an F1 car?
Fernando, let's start with you.
Good question. I mean, we see maybe less than the onboard camera shows sometimes. I think we are sitting on a lower position. And yeah, we focus so much on things quite far away that, you know, maybe it doesn't seem that obvious from outside. You know, the car, you know, is very fast, obviously, and you approach things in a very fast rate. So we are looking sometimes, you know, 300 meters, 400 meters away from us, because in 0.2 of a second we will be there. So that's the focus we have. And for that kind of vision I think we see enough from the car. Obviously, we don't see things that are close to us. Even the Starbucks on Sunday is difficult for us. Pit stops are a little bit of a guess as well, because we don't have the exact point of where the front wing stands or the tires sometimes. But yeah, I think it's not very, very important, visibility in Formula One, as you know, sometimes less you see, faster you are.
Okay. Daniel, how about you?
Yeah, I think, look, Fernando touched on a lot of the points. I think it's always been tricky I think naturally the speeds we go, yes, we are always looking ahead. And it's kind of the way you piece the lap together as well. By the time you get to one corner, you're already looking at the next and setting the car up for the next. So you don't necessarily need to see what's immediately in front of you, 5 meters in front of you. But some situations it is tricky. And Fernando touched on a very simple one, but lining up in the grid box at the start, we actually don't see, obviously we see the grid box maybe when it's, 10 meters in front of us, 10 meters. But then when we get close, it's just a judge. We're just trying to guess where it is. So some simple things are actually quite difficult. And it has become a bit more difficult, I would say, with this style car. So the bigger tires, the ride height, the car is a bit more flat. Therefore, it's kind of as if the nose is lifted. So then, with a ride height that, kind of lifts us up from the rear and we're looking down more, this is now flatter. So we lose probably another little bit in front of us. But as I say, it's more the little things. I think at speed, either it doesn't matter too much, or we're just used to it. But grid box, pit stops, some little things can be tricky. And then, the mirrors, we do the best with what we got, but naturally there are, some blind spots at times. But then, obviously we use our judgment and spatial awareness the best way we can. I think what's overwhelming probably to some is if they were to just sit in the car, I think they'll be like, how do you see? Because you're so used to seeing everything around you and you simply don't. So that in itself, I remember when I went from go-karts to a Formula car, that was the biggest difficulty, was just trying to know, okay, whereabouts is the curb? I don't see the curb, so I have to figure out, from a feeling. And that stuff it takes a bit to get